Good morning, Racketeers. I am going to start this video a little bit differently today. I'm going to start us with just a quick look at the last 2 days Google Forms, just to go over some responses that I saw and just to kind of clear up any misconceptions that y'all had. So I'm going to start with Monday's form. If you have not done Monday or Tuesday Google Forms and you're watching this video, stop the video, go back and do your Monday and Tuesday Google Forms. I am going to first give some sparkles to the pioneers. If you can see on this pie chart here, this is who is responding to the Google form, and it looks like the pioneers have the highest percentage just by a little bit, but we definitely want to see more of you responding. So if you have a friend in class, reach out to them and say, hey, are you doing your work? Let me go down to my part of the form. So this obviously is not what you see when you look at the form, but this is what I see when I look at the answers. And so I look here and I put in a few questions. This was for the book Goldilocks and the Hares. And one of my questions here dealt with character motivation. And character motivation is tricky, and I know I only gave you an anchor chart, so I wanted to kind of explain more about it. So character motivation is why the character does or says what they do. Like what is motivating them to do that? And sometimes it's a problem. You know, what does the character want? And now what do they need to do to get what they want? And so in this question here, I said, why does Goldilocks tell Baby Hare to stand by the TV? I got kind of a mixed response. And I was a little tricky with my answers here because all of these are true, but you're looking for her motivation to tell the baby hare to stand by the TV. So if you went back and watched the video, you would see that she wanted to use the baby bunny's ears to watch the TV better. So then it would be B, which a lot of you did say, but it was kind of so mixed that I really wanted to go over it because you know, these other options are true in the story, but they don't answer the question. So please make sure you're really paying attention to, like, why would the character do that, and reread the text. If you need to go back in a video and replay that part of the book, you might need to. And as good readers, we always go back and look in the text, even though we don't have it in front of us. And I know it's really difficult right now, but we're doing the best with what we can. For the next question, which details from the text best describe why the hares give Goldilocks vegetables? Again, this is kind of a mixed answer, but it's asking why are they doing that? And the idea is that they want her to leave. So their motivation to give her vegetables is to get her to leave. So that's why C here is the correct answer. I got a lot of different answers for why do the hares decide to invite the neighbors. This is again a character motivation question. You know, what do they want, and what are they not getting? They want her to leave. So therefore the answer can be very simple. The hares decide to invite the neighbors because they think that if there's a large amount of people and animals at their party, she might want to leave. And it looks here, this last part here, it says, what caused Goldilocks to finally leave? And it was, most of you got this correct, but it's still it's a little more than half of you. So I'm still a little bit concerned. I want to just make sure we go back over this. Baby Hare calls the bears. He gets on the phone and he calls those bears that she was running away from initially. And that's why she ends up running away and leaving. The last question had to do with character trait. And I thought, you know, character traits are a tricky thing that I don't normally work with all of the first graders on, but it is something that it's important for you to try to figure out as you're becoming a better reader, is how to understand the characters in the books that you're reading. And character traits are things about a character that don't change very easily. They're not feelings that, you know, in the morning I can wake up really happy, and then by the middle of the day I can be kind of sad or maybe lonely. Feelings change, right? But character traits stay the same. And that's something about, we can see here with Goldilocks, I actually gave you the character trait, and so I was asking for evidence. And evidence is when you go back in the book and you pull out an action, maybe dialogue, something that she did or that she said that made you understand that she was selfish. So I got a few good answers, but I was not super happy with the amount of evidence that people gave me. So the book that I'm going to do today, I am going to try to follow it up with similar questions to what I put here around character motivation and character traits, because I really want to see if I need to do this a little bit longer and work with you guys on it more. It is really important. And as you become better readers, you're only going to love reading if you really start to understand the people that you're reading about. So I'm going to show you, I was going to go over Tuesday's form, but I think I'm going to stop here so it's not too long. I did want to show you a quick video, and then I'm going to jump into the book for today. So here it is. Let me start it from the beginning and I'll make it big for you. All right, I'm gonna stop here. Let me exit out of this. So they all really relate, and I think it's important that as you read, you kind of realize that these skills are all building on each other. So character traits. I mean, we start with character feelings kind of in kindergarten, and then we get into like character motivations, character traits, because they all lead into each other, and then they help us understand the theme of the story as well. And that's a really big idea. So we're going to go ahead and start reading this story called Rapunzel. It's written by the same author of the book that we read yesterday, The 12 Dancing Princesses. It's by Rachel Isadora, and it is another version of Rapunzel. Once there was a man and a woman who longed to have a baby. Finally, their wish was granted, and the woman came to be with child. Next to their hut was a garden full of beautiful flowers and herbs. However, no one dared to go in it because it belonged to a wicked sorceress. One day, the wife saw fresh Rapunzel growing in the garden and had the greatest desire to eat some. With each passing day that she couldn't have any, her desire grew and she became very ill. This is the garden here. Her husband asked, "What ails you, dear wife?" "Oh," she answered, "if I do not get Rapunzel, I shall surely die." The man decided he must get some, no matter what. So that evening he climbed into the garden and quickly grabbed some. The Rapunzel tasted so good that now the wife wanted even more. Once again, the husband climbed into the garden. And there, to his horror, stood the sorceress. "How dare you come into my garden and steal my Rapunzel? You will pay for this," she said. The husband begged for mercy and explained that his wife would die if she did not have any. "Well, then, you can take the Rapunzel, but you must give me the child your wife will soon bring into the world," she told him. The man, in his terror, agreed. When the child was born, the sorceress appeared, named the little girl Rapunzel, and took her away. Rapunzel grew into the most beautiful child under the sun. When Rapunzel turned 12, the sorceress locked her in a high tower that had neither a door nor stairs, but only a window at the very top. When the sorceress wanted to enter, she stood below and called out, Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair. Rapunzel then wound her beautiful long hair around a hook and let it fall to the ground below so the sorceress could climb up. A few years later, a prince was riding by the tower. When he heard a song so lovely, he stopped to listen. He saw Rapunzel in the window and fell in love with her. He wanted to climb up, but found no way to do so. Here we see the prince on his zebra. Let's see. The prince returned every day to hear Rapunzel's sweet song. One day he saw the sorceress approach the tower. He hid behind a tree to listen. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair, she called out. He watched as the sorceress climbed up to the tiny window. The following day, the prince went to the tower and called, as the sorceress had done, Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair. The hair fell down and the prince climbed up. At first, Rapunzel was frightened, but then the prince spoke kindly and explained that his heart had been touched by her singing. Rapunzel lost her fear, and when he asked if she would take him for her husband, she said yes. They said their vows of marriage in the tower and agreed that the prince would visit every night, for the sorceress came by day. Uh-oh. Ooh. The sorceress did not find out about the prince's visit until one day Rapunzel said, Please help me with my dress. It seems to grow tighter every day. Why, you thankless girl, the sorceress cried, realizing that Rapunzel was with child. I thought I had separated you from the world, but you have tricked me. She grabbed Rapunzel's hair and snip, snap, cut it off. Then she took poor Rapunzel into the wilderness, where she left her all alone. The sorceress returned to the tower and tied the cut off hair to the hook of the window. When the prince came and called out, Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair, she let down the hair. The prince climbed up, but instead of his beloved Rapunzel, he found the evil sorceress. Aha, you have come for your dearest, but you will never see her again. The prince was so overcome with grief that he threw himself from the tower. He escaped with his life, but the thorns he fell upon blinded his eyes. He wandered through the wilderness for years, eating nothing but roots and berries, weeping over the loss of his beloved wife. One day the prince heard a voice, and it seemed so familiar. He went toward it. As he approached, Rapunzel recognized him and threw her arms around his shoulders and wept. Her tears fell on his eyes, and he was no longer blind. The prince led Rapunzel and their twins to his kingdom, where they were received with great joy and lived happily ever after. The end. Okay, Rocketeers, I am going to take some screenshots of this book and make sure that I give you some evidence to point out when you're answering my questions, but I really need you to look back at the text that I provide and give me real evidence when you answer the question. And really think about, why is the character doing what they're doing? What would motivate them to do that? What is the problem that's going on in the story that would push them to do what they're doing? And another thing would be to think about what actions and dialogue have to say about the character. How would what they're doing and what they're saying, how would that describe them as a person? So I'll be putting those things. Make sure you watch the whole video and click on the Google form so that you can answer all those questions. Thank you guys.